Ladies and gentlemen, a very warm welcome to you. You're watching another episode of Encounter. Today, we have a very special guest. We have Dr. Michael Busch, who is the administrator for Mauritius for the global country of world peace. Dr. Michael Busch, a very warm welcome for this interview in Encounter.
Bonjour, and thank you for having me on the show, Roshan. It's wonderful to be here.
It's a pleasure having you. We have you here today on the program because you're the administrator for Mauritius for Transcendental Meditation. It is a new term. Many people are not aware of. Can we call it TM, Transcendental Meditation?
Call it TM. Yeah.
So what is TM?
Transcendental Meditation is a very simple, effortless, easy mental technique that can be practiced by anyone from any background, any cultural background. It's taught throughout the world. There's millions of people that do it. We teach it in schools. We teach it in the military. We teach it for medical doctors. It's a very simple technique that makes the brain, turns the light on. Your name means light. So it turns the light on inside so that you can use all of your potential to enjoy life more. And it gives better health, refreshment to the physiology. It's like a bath for the whole physiology and soul to just refresh everything, take all the stress away, and actualize and live your full potential in life.
Well, Dr. Michael, there are many types of meditation that exist nowadays, especially from the ancient times and new modern types of meditation. What is so different about TM?
Well, Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, who brought the technique out to the world nearly 60 years ago, always said that he wasn't teaching anything new. It's ancient knowledge, but it got lost. It was always thought that you had to concentrate to do meditation. You have to control your wandering mind. Your mind is like lazy and it's no good. But in this technique, there's no effort. There's no difficulty. We teach children at age 5 this technique, and they get better marks in their school. They do better with their peers and their behavior. And life is just sunnier. Mauritius is a very sunny, beautiful country, and it just makes life more sunny from the inside, and then that radiates outside. There are very different things that happen when you practice TM versus other types of meditation. Those may have good values, but now, you know, because we live in an age of science, you can measure exactly what goes on in the physiology. And there are two basic things that happen when you learn Transcendental Meditation. One is that right away, in the very first day, the mind and the brain gets more orderly. You have these different frequencies in the brain. There's alpha, there's delta, there's theta, there's gamma. Alpha coherence in the brain is seen when you have very top world-class athletes, world-class CEOs, people who are great musicians. They have a lot of alpha coherence in their prefrontal cortex. And this technique produces big changes in the prefrontal cortex so that there's more alpha coherence. And when the brain gets more orderly, the whole physiology gets deep rest. When you practice this technique, you get twice as deep rest as you do in sleep. And you do it like 15 minutes, 20 minutes in the morning, 15, 20 minutes in the evening. And it's like taking a bath. You just get total refreshment and you're ready to start your day. And the deep rest that you get makes the body healthier, makes the mind clearer. And that gives a great opportunity for more success in life.
So we are talking about how it helps. But the most important is, how do you practice it? Is it like other meditation practices where you sit, you have to lay down, you have to sit down on a chair? I'm not asking you how you practice it, because I'm sure there are many classes where it's being taught.
It's a great question. It's a great question. And the answer is that, because you're asking practically, okay, so if this is so good, how am I going to do it, right? You know, I should tell you that the top journalists, a lot of them in the world, Ellen DeGeneres and a lot of the top newscasters in the United States do this because they have highly pressured lives. They're always on the go. They always have to be on, so to speak. And they get great benefit from doing the technique. You do it sitting comfortably in a chair, and you have to close your eyes. That's the hardest part. You have to sit comfortably and you close your eyes. You don't bend yourself into some lotus pretzel position or anything, because this is a technique that just takes advantage of the fact that the mind likes to go to the field of happiness. If I'm talking to you and someone that's very dear to you comes into the room, where does your attention go? It's going to go to that
It will shift away,
yeah,
definitely.
or you're in a classroom and your teacher's not so interesting. And where does your mind go? It goes somewhere where it's more interesting. It's the nature of the mind to find happiness. And because the world outside is always changing, it's never the same, because of that, then there's not any permanent happiness outside. But there is a field of intelligence, and this is known by science, I'll explain that in a minute, but there is a field of pure happiness inside. And every religion talks about it, whether it's Christianity that says the kingdom of heaven is within, or whether it's the Vedic tradition of India which says I am Atma Brahm, or whether it's in the Sufi or Muslim tradition where they say as is the microcosm, so is the macrocosm. This idea of a field of unity, of peace, of bliss, which is innate to all of us, and which is the same for everyone, irrespective of their background. That field we don't know how to access. And this is a technique that just allows you to access that. It's like the lake can be there, but the farmer can't have the water in the field if he doesn't have a pipe, right?
Of course.
So this is just the pipe. And it's just like a very comfortable ride. It's like you get into a Mercedes-Benz. It takes you very comfortably where you want to go. And this technique is so simple. I mean, in a few seconds, we teach someone how to do it. It takes a few days to learn properly, about an hour a day. And after that, you're completely on your own, self-sufficient, and you're an expert.
You mentioned earlier that the technique was taught by Maharishi 60 years ago.
Yes.
But what are the origins of it? It's much older. Is it from India?
Yeah, the technique comes from the Vedic tradition of India, which was even predated any religion or Hinduism or anything. It was just pure science, Vedic science. In order to understand that, let's think, what does Veda mean, okay? It means knowledge. And Vedic science, what was it knowledge of? It was knowledge of the laws of nature. And if we think, let's think for a minute. Think of a lake or an ocean. You're surrounded by ocean here. It's very easy for people in Mauritius to think of an ocean. The ocean on the surface has waves, right?
Sure.
And then, but if you go to the depth, there's silence. There's the sort of peace that's deep down in the ocean. And there's also, it's very lively down there. It's not just empty. It's full of fishes and...
It's full of life.
Full of life.
Yes.
And that's exactly the way physics says the universe is. Physics says at the surface of the universe, there's all this excitation. And as you go from the concrete physiology and you get to finer and finer levels, you go from macro levels to the atomic, to subatomic, to the particle levels, and finally to fields. And these fields are just vibrations. That's all they are.
It's all energy.
It's all energy. And those energies are just vibrations. And so what the Vedas they had the knowledge of all of those vibrations, all of that way to influence that, to enrich our life, to benefit our life. And so that Vedic science was just a science which could transform anything into anything else. It can transform a mind that uses, neuroscience says we use 1% of our mind, or some psychologists say 5 to 10%. But it took that ignorant level to its enlightened level. That was you have the computer.
Of course.
And you plug it in and it just lights up. We are born pre-wired. There's 100 billion brain cells in our brain. There are more ways that they can interact than there are atoms in the universe. It's enormous power. And whenever I hear that, oh, this country doesn't have resources or it doesn't have this, no, there's 1.3 million people, there's 1.3 million cosmic brains in Mauritius.
Yes.
And when they're operating fully awake, there's not going to be any problems. It'll be an enlightened society. And it's just a matter of tapping into a resource that's already there. And over time, it got lost somehow. I think that's the thing. It just, how to experience that, how to open that potential up, how to live the fullness of life, to be full of bliss all the time, that got lost.
How do you find yourself being a transcendental meditation practitioner?
Well, I've been doing it since I was in college. And so I started to read the philosophers, I read the physicists, and I started to see that they all started to say at the basis of creation there's this unity, I read Siddhartha by Hermann Hesse, and underneath creation there's this unity. And then I said, well, modern science is saying the same exact thing, so how do we experience it? Our eye can perceive a single photon of light. We have a quantum physiology. We have a quantum body. We are just made of Veda. Dr. Tony Nader from Harvard and MIT, who is now the head of the TM organization, is a medical doctor and a neuroscientist, and he's mapped the whole physiology, absolutely brilliant, groundbreaking work, showing that the entirety of the Veda is in the human physiology. And so we are nothing but those vibrations of natural law, which if we tune it up just a little bit, if you have a guitar and it's not tuned, it doesn't sound very good.
True.
So we're just going to tune it up a little bit and allow the physiology to connect to its source. Deep rest, peace, unbounded bliss, and freedom. And that's what you feel when you meditate.
So what has this changed in your life since you've been practicing TM?
Well, happiness. There was much more happiness.
What is happiness to you?
That's nobody's ever asked me that. I think contentment I would almost say it's bliss, the experience of bliss itself. In the Vedas, they talk these terms, Sat Chidananda. Consciousness is absolute, and it's bliss, and it's truth.
Of course.
And when you experience it, that's what it is. It's like I can tell you what a mango. I can say, okay, the mango, it weighs half kg, it's got this covering, it's got a chemical nature of this, and its composition is so much water, all this. But it's much more bliss to eat the mango, right? So you can talk about consciousness and all these nice philosophical things. It's much better to have the taste of it.
So you have to practice.
You have
to learn, seek, and practice.
Yes. And even in the Yoga Sutras, it says, through practice, the experience of bliss becomes blissful.
Of course.
It's like ginger ale, Ginger ale has all these bubbles in it. It's like bubbling bliss. The physiology just thrills with bliss. And when you learn the advanced TM City program, which includes yogic flying, that bliss just radiates out even more dynamically to the environment.
And how has it changed your surrounding in your entourage?
Well, I should tell you that one thing that happened to me almost right away, it's so practical. I was in college when I learned, and my grade point average went from basically B level or B plus to A plus level. And I didn't do anything differently. And also I was competing in sports, and my performance must have gotten about 30% better or so. So I immediately saw changes, but where I really saw the changes was how my luck in life improved. You know how sometimes you just have the thought that you want something and it happens.
No, that's not luck. It's if you genuinely wish for something, they say that the world conspires for you to have it.
Beautiful, exactly. And that's exactly the way it works.
But that's not luck, it's just reality.
Okay, then you have a very good level of consciousness. Because some people, they wish for things and it doesn't come. So if you get it like that, then I'd say that you're a very highly evolved guy.
Oh, thank you for that. But so you would say that you're more lucky?
I would say that there's a connection between the wishes and the fulfillment of the wishes. The time frame gets compactified shorter. And so almost what happens is you don't even have to have the wish. It just, what happens is right. And you get in tune.
I want to ask, if I want to practice TM, how do I do it? Is there a center in Mauritius?
Yes, there are.
Before I ask you how I practice, please share with us You're from the US.
Yes.
You have a German name, but I want to know, how come you're in Mauritius? Why are you in Mauritius?
You know, I didn't know anything about Mauritius 4 months ago. I'll just tell you the honest truth. And I've been working and teaching around the world, and the way um, Marshy had wanted the Marshy Foundation International to be set up, or this global country of world peace, was that there was sort of a fatherly person to make sure that the existing organization in the country got the support that they needed and the help they needed from our international organization. And since we're in about 150, 160 countries, I was already working a lot with the government of India and in programs for India. And Mauritius was close by. So I said I'd be happy to take I can't tell you, it's much better for me than it is for Mauritius.
Are there many practitioners in Mauritius?
Yes, there's wonderful centers here. I think there's about 12 teachers here. They've been teaching for 3 decades here. And the teachers, if you go to tm.org, you'll get all the information that you need. The thing is, we've been teaching individuals who wanted to learn, like yourself. Somebody wakes up in the morning and said, I'd like to have a little bit more out of my life. Why don't I learn something? And they look and see and they find about it. Or they hear from a friend.
So I go onto the website and I can learn TM in Mauritius.
Yes, there'll be all the directions for what to do.
How long does it take to learn?
It's very easy to do. We have one introductory talk, kind of like what we're doing now. It might even be shorter, depending on how long you keep me here. But you have an introductory talk, you get all your questions answered, it prepares you to learn. And then you have a day where you actually get instructed, personal instruction in the technique. And then you have, since it's a technique based on your experience, and you start doing it from that day, you're going to go home and do it on your own, 15, 20 minutes, twice a day. And then you come back 3 days. Each day you have a little more experience, you have more questions, teacher gives you more understanding. And at the end of about 4 days, about an hour each day, you're completely set and self-sufficient. There's all kinds of advanced programs you can take. I mentioned the TM City program, which we like to teach in schools or in the military.
Is it possible to practice it on other people also?
No, you do this.
It's a personal technique.
It's a personal thing you do for yourself. But as I was saying, in a dark room, if you turn the light on, all the darkness goes away. Just think of your body. If your body gets an illness, like a cold, that can radiate to other people, right? They say don't give that to other people. So in society, if some people are stressed, it radiates to other people. And so what we found is a small group of people practicing this technology together is like turning the light on for the whole country. Crime, accidents, drug abuse, sickness goes away to a great degree, and positive socioeconomic trends improve. So you find more prosperity. It's Mahalakshmi's coming, so we're going to talk about prosperity. More prosperity, more abundance, more happiness quotient in the society. So it takes only, for Mauritius, about 200 people practicing in a group these technologies. It's enough to turn the light on for the nation. But for an individual, even if they turn the light on inside and they interact with 50, 100 people a day, they share that happiness, yes, that light.
Definitely.
That's good enough.
You mentioned about a program in schools.
Yes.
So please tell us more. That sounds very interesting.
In countries like, for example, my country, America, inner city schools are war zones. There's death all around them every day. There's not much future for these kids. And we started at the request of schools going in and offering what we call consciousness-based education. And we offer this period of 15, 20 minutes twice a day. If we do the longer program, it's 30 minutes twice a day. And the results are phenomenal. Suspension rates go almost completely, they drop by 80%. Behavioral problems drop about the same. Kids' lives outside of school become much more promising. They become much more successful. Their graduation rates are going up. Their grade point averages are going up. And the teachers are thrilled. So we teach the teachers and the students. They do it together, and the results are remarkable.
Ah, fantastic. That's great to know.
And we're doing this in countries all over the world. There's a couple of million kids in the world doing this. Every military, and there are militaries in the world. I have some videos and everything about them. In Ecuador, different countries of the world, in the military training schools in the United States, they've introduced this program. And again, the results have been fantastic. It makes a soldier more alert, more awake, more balanced, you know? You think, again, about the ancient heritage of India, and I know a good maybe 60% of the people from this country are from there. When this knowledge was given, it was given to the warriors. It was given to Arjuna on the battlefield,
Yes.
you know? And he was told, he was given very simple, I'm sure he was taught how to transcend, because Krishna said to him, Arjuna, he said, Nistrai gunyo bhav Arjuna, be without the three gunas. He also said, Yogastha kur kramani, establish your mind in purity and peace, and then engage in action. Establish in being, then act. If you're not established in being, your action cannot be fruitful. So first the mind experiences this ocean of peace, and when it comes out, it's more peaceful. I like the example of a gulab jamun. You know gulab jamun?
Of course.
They have them here in
Of
Mauritius?
course, plenty
Okay.
of them.
All right. You know, it's nothing until it's soaked in that sugar sauce.
Yeah.
And then it's quite special. And if you soak your whole physiology in that bliss a couple of times a day, sooner or later, life becomes sweet in every way.
That's a beautiful example.
There.
Dr. Michael Busch, you mentioned about how the program is working in the military and also at schools. But I have to tell you, wouldn't it be just better for the wars to end and we won't have to use it after?
Yeah, it's 100% the best question I've ever been asked. It's really a delightful question because it's a correct question. We shouldn't have war. We shouldn't have problems. Suffering doesn't have to be there. And it's very clearly laid out in the Vedas when it says, Heyam dukkam anagatam. Avert the danger before it comes. Why deal with the danger? Why let the stress build up so much that the war breaks out? Why let your physiology build up its stress to get a heart attack? Why not just not let the buildup happen? And that's why Maharishi's advice from the beginning was, make a prevention wing in the military, where they practice this technology together. The light gets turned on for the whole society, and problems stay far away. When the light is turned on, the darkness has to wait at a distance.
Yes.
There's just no room for problems if the light's on. So there is a way to turn the light on, and it's been shown in 50 published studies that when we had these groups, crime, accidents, sickness rates, all the negative drug abuse, all the negative trends of society subside, and all the positive ones open up. The society becomes more prosperous, more creative, more affluent, and people are happier. So it's a simple thing to flip a light switch. And with this ancient technology and the modern scientific way of looking at it and using it, we have no excuse now not to turn the light on.
Wow, beautifully said. Before wrapping up this episode of Encounter, again, one important question. What is your drive for spreading transcendental meditation around? What drives you to go forward, and why is it important to spread the message?
It's important if you have something good. It's not even important. It's natural. Human nature. If you know something good, you tell your friend. You're my friend, so I'm telling you. And because you tell everyone in all of Mauritius, it'll spread everywhere. It's a beautiful, beautiful question. It's just a nature to share. And it's a selfish thing, because when you share something with someone, you get more back than what you shared.
Less thing.
Selfless.
Yes.
Yeah. I meant selfish, because it's like a teacher.
Okay.
A teacher, you may say, well, a teacher is very selfless. They're just there to give and give and give. But if you ask a teacher, what was it better, being a teacher or being a student? I think 99% will tell you being a teacher, because you get more than you give.
Of
It's the
course.
nature of life.
Wow. Well, I wish you all the best going forward and spreading the practice of transcendental meditation. It has been a pleasure having you on this program.
Merci beaucoup. It's been a joy, and we'll make sure also that it's easy for you to learn, so you could not just, you had the introductory lecture, so you're one day, you have one less day to do.
So I've already skipped the introduction.
You
I can
skip
go
the
to the course
introduction.
directly.
You can
Well,
learn
thank you
yourself.
very much in advance. Ladies and gentlemen, we have now come to the end of this episode of Encounter. Thank you very much for being with us. But before we close, we have an email address which is being displayed at the bottom of your screen. If you have any suggestions, proposals, questions on the topic that has been discussed, or any questions on our guest, Dr. Michael Busch, please drop us an email. Thank you very much for being with us. We have now come to the end. We'll catch you again next week, same time, on the same channel.